Welcome back to the Am I Rich Yet podcast. We are a weekly podcast for millennials and Gen Zs where we help you save, spend, and grow your money smarter. Today, you are hearing episode number 14, which is all about diversification. My name is Georgia. I'm one of your co-hosts. I myself am a Gen Z. I'm currently an MBA student studying in Sydney, Australia, and navigating how to manage my personal finances.
My name's Rob. I am Georgia's dad. I'm a recently retired financial advisor, and I'm here to help you make smart decisions with your money.
So as we've been filming, we've decided that a good way to kick off before we get into the nitty-gritty content is to ask each other a question that neither of us know what question is going to be asked. But I'm going to kick it off and ask you a question. And my question today is, out of all the apps you've ever downloaded on your phone, which one is your favorite and why?
That's interesting you asked that. I'm going to say my favorite app is still Waze.
What is Waze?
Waze is a travel app. I'm sure everyone knows it. If you're trying to get from point A to point B, it tells you the different routes. It tells you the fastest route. And it is deadly accurate. Even on a 2-hour drive, I often arrive within a couple of minutes of it. Somehow it knows the speed I'm driving at because it's not always the speed limit. I'm amazed by it. Sometimes it needs a little help. So sometimes I may hit the route button just to see what route it wants to take me on and then choose a different one. But I love it. And often in life, shortcuts aren't good. Waze is an example of a great shortcut. It gets you there faster and most likely on time.
I like it. And one of the features I like about Waze is you can send little notifications or hellos to other Waze users, right?
Tell them when you're arriving. And it shows you where the police are. Or the popo, as you call them.
Well, this isn't sponsored by Waze. Oh, the popo. Yes, it tells you where the police are. That's my other favorite feature.
So, Georgia, we are now halfway through this series of podcasts.
What's your question for me?
What one concept have you struggled with the most in what we've talked about?
Out of what we've covered?
Yes.
The part that's been toughest for me to get my head wrapped around, and I think it's something that just takes a bit of time, but I understand the differences between the main accounts, your RRSP, your TFSA, your first home savings account. But I think I need to go back and look and understand where I haven't done that work that we've talked about of knowing your why. And that's really important.
So you didn't do your homework?
Well,
no surprise.
Hey. We've been filming. We've been having a lot of work to do. And what I'm going to have to do is take some time for myself, understand my why, understand my priorities, look at which income bracket I fall into. And those are all necessary steps before you know which accounts you should be investing into. So that's my answer.
Okay.
It's achievable. Yeah. It's stuff we've covered, but it takes some time.
Georgia, so my question for you today is, you've been injured now for probably 5 weeks, 6 weeks.
Okay.
What activity do you miss the most?
Yeah, that's a great question. I like all different forms of movement. I like yoga. I like strength training. I like running. I like biking. I like golf, tennis, recreational team sports. And I do all of them. If I could do one tomorrow because my hip permitted me to, I would love to go for a long run and have my music be in my flow state where I feel unstoppable. I have no stresses going on in my mind and I can just run. That would be my activity of choice.
Fair enough. It's probably the one thing I miss that I can't do anymore.
Yep.
And I remember one time I had my MRI done and my doctor had said, yeah, you got a lot of wear and tear there. And I looked at it and I was like, oh my God, there's no way I can run anymore. And it was my own fault because I had run with an extra 25 pounds for too long. So, okay.
Let's jump into it.
Let's go. Diversification. So imagine you walk into a building and it's an old building, really old building, and you need to get to the 10th floor. and there's two elevators. And you can actually see the cables coming down to these elevator A and elevator B. And elevator A has just one cable attached to it. And it's kind of like a ski lift. It's hooked onto one cable. And elevator B has 6 different cables attached to it. The building manager says, which of these are you going to take? He happens to be just in the lobby at that time. He says, which elevator are you going to take? So, Georgia, which elevator are you going to take in this old building? The one with one cable or the one with 6 cables?
I'm going for 6 cables all day.
Okay. The same applies to investing. That's diversification. You've got a better chance of making it to the 10th floor. That one cable could break. It could have bad metal. It could have bad engineering, whatever it is. So diversification, it's not about being in one stock or one investment. It's being in multiple investments. Now, luckily today, in the past, you needed to put all those multiple investments into your portfolio. Today, it's automatically done for you.
Do you know an analogy I just thought of?
What's that?
Why buy a bag of salt and vinegar Miss Vickie's chips when you can buy a party mix? All of it in one bag.
Well, there you go.
All that cheddary goodness in one bag. You get some salt from the pretzels. You get some sun chip action. Why go for just the Miss Vickie's?
At least someone's going to like pieces of it. I mean, you guys always leave the pretzels behind, but I go into the bag, the only thing is pretzels.
Eric only eats the pretzels.
Well,
if you ever
go.
find a bag like that, give it to Eric.
Okay, next up. In life, we're told to diversify most things. We all know we're supposed to eat a balanced diet. Exercise. If you don't want to get injured, the best thing you can do is mix up your exercises, diversify them. Don't do weightlifting 6 days in a row if that's your passion. Do it every other day or every third day. Diversification, we're so used to it in our life. Travel, friends, you don't want just one friend. You prefer to have multiple friends, multiple experiences. So investing, diversification is equally important. I'm going to share 2 quotes. This one was called A Random Walk Down Wall Street. Diversification is the only free lunch in investing. You get the benefit without really doing anything different. So you get the benefit of a free lunch. It's like going to a seminar and you get a free lunch. All you had to do was show up at the seminar and you get your free lunch. Sometimes you can get a free rental place if you just sit through a 4-hour presentation. You can get a free weekend at some resort or something. The last quote I thought I'd share, this is from John Bogle, who was the founder of Vanguard. And Vanguard is the biggest mutual fund ETF company. He sort of drove the passion to passive investing. And he said, don't look for the needle in the haystack, just buy the whole haystack. So that starts us off with why diversification is so important.
Now, before we go on, those are great quotes. I really liked them. Are we talking about diversifying, just to clarify if anyone missed it at the beginning, are we talking about diversifying your income streams, diversifying how many banks you're working with? What are we talking about regarding diversification?
Okay, we're talking about really your investments. So the first category I would go with is diversify by country. We live in Canada. Canada, we feel we're important, but we are 2.5%, sometimes 2%, sometimes 3% of the world stock market. It's like going in to do your grocery shopping into the little cigar store on the corner. There's not much choice. Even the corner store in a gas station, there's sometimes now you can buy groceries. There's not much choice there. The same applies to Canada. So by country, the other things you need to diversify: company size, small, medium, and large, pretty simple. Next is sectors: mining, minerals, banking, insurance, financial services, technology.
Retail.
You want a bit of everything. If you want to be truly diversified, if it truly is the free lunch, then you want a little bit of all of it. And the last one would be value companies versus growth companies. And we'll get into that a little later. Those are the main forms of diversification. We've already talked about diversification of stocks, bonds, cash, and real estate. We're now going to a different level.
Awesome. So to recap for our listeners, the 4 types of diversification that we're going to talk about today are diversifying by country, diversifying by company size, diversifying by industry, and diversifying by value versus growth.
Correct.
Let's get into it.
So country, when you diversify by country, you diversify in many cases by industry. So let's use an example. Canada has 6 major banks, really 5, but call it 6. That makes up a big part of the Canadian stock market. We also have a lot of oil and gas. We also have mining and minerals. After that, a couple of railways, we got Shopify, but there's not really that much else to choose from. So we're limited. So if you only invest in Canada, once again, you're limited by types of industry. If you invest in the US, you're much more diversified. There's 7 different industries in the US that make up more than 10% of the US stock market. So it's actually really well balanced down in the US. You go over to Europe, they can be heavy on industrial. Okay, you go to Germany, very heavy on industrial. Automakers, tons of automakers in Germany, tons of automakers in Japan. So by diversifying by country, you automatically start diversifying by types of company. Don't forget emerging markets. What happens when you diversify by country? You start eliminating some of the risks. So do you want to be investing in Israel right now?
No.
Russia?
No.
Iran?
No.
Right now, you'd prefer to be hands off those if you could, unless you're really aggressive and you want to go in and buy when they might be on sale. But those are examples of some risks that take place, and it could be an economic risk. A new leader could be elected and suddenly the government's overthrown. You just never know what's coming at you. So you want to hold a bit of everything, but not too much of anything that it's going to kill you. And lastly, when you diversify by country, you diversify by currency. If you own US companies, you're in US dollars. If you are investing in Europe, you're into the euro, and Asia, etc. So you pick up different currencies, another form of diversification. Next up, we go company size. In the market, we call it small, medium, and large. Really simple. Big companies, typically they're global companies, even though they may be based in one country. Canada doesn't really have any global companies at this point, but we have some big companies. Our biggest company is Royal Bank. You go down to the US, and now you start seeing some differences. You see Amazon, Facebook, Microsoft, Tesla was up there at one point. NVIDIA is up there. So those are large or super large companies. And then you get into mid-sized companies and smaller companies. Small companies, why do you want them? Well, small companies typically deliver higher returns than big companies. Why do they do that? Go back to the risk-return thing. Small companies are riskier. Therefore, they have to offer a reward. The reward is a higher return. They're riskier because they're also more volatile. They may perform great for 3 years in a row and then underperform for 5 years in a row. But over long periods of time, small does better than large. And next up, we talk about industry or sector. So we've touched on that a little bit by diversifying by country, but different sectors react at different points in the economic cycle. Right now, we're coming out, we had a rough go in 2022. The markets have been doing quite well since that period of time. So different companies, different sectors of the economy tend to do better when things like that are happening. Food prices are high. So companies that sell cheaper food, Walmart or No Frills, they tend to do better when inflation's high because people can't afford to shop at the more expensive stores. So little things like that are constantly changing. That's why I go back to it's so difficult to predict what the future is. No one can predict the future. Everyone likes to guess, oh, because inflation's high, I'm going to put all my money into Walmart. It doesn't always work. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. If things get really tough, think of what goes up. Campbell's. Why does Campbell's go up in value when inflation's really high?
Because it's an affordable option.
Soup. It's the cheapest option out there. You can feed your family soup for dinner. So it's amazing, but you can see that stock just start to go up. And then when the economy is doing really well, it comes back down again. That's why you want to diversify by sector. Really important. Next one is a well-known one. It's called the difference between value and growth. What is a value company? A value company is a company whose stock price is currently low. It's on sale. Think of it as like you're buying day-old bread. It's still bread, and if you eat it quickly, it's fine. Or day-old donuts, right? If you eat it quickly, they're still great. As opposed to buying something that's fresh, new off the shelf, a new flavor of something. Maybe it's a new flavor of mayonnaise that everyone's raving about, and you want to try it. That's like a growth thing. So value companies, no one's really paying much attention to. They still make profits. And growth companies, everyone's talking about them. So NVIDIA, everyone's talking about NVIDIA and AI, and they make these special chips for AI. So anything like that tends to do well when the economy's doing well and people are getting excited about it. But what happens is it becomes so expensive, and so often then the market shifts from growth companies to value companies. I want to put my money somewhere. This area is too expensive. This area is cheap. So now it's value. Here's the only problem. You can't time when this is going to happen. You have to stick to a strategy. I'm a value investor, I'm a growth investor, or I'm in the middle. I'm balanced. Every time you try and shift, you're going to make mistakes because you're going to do it. And this is the interesting thing. Let's say value has underperformed like it has in the US market for the last 10 years. You're going to say, I need to get out of this. I can't take it anymore. And the minute you get out, within 12 months, I guarantee you value will take off. And when it takes off, it's going to outperform by 30 to 40% what the growth was doing. And you'll miss that initial bump. And so you got to pick your strategy and you got to stay with it. And so if you got to do all this work, you're better to have someone else doing that work for you. It's too much work. The average investor's just trying to figure out what companies to buy. Forget value and growth and what industries and all this stuff. There's a lot that goes on. And even the best in the world can't figure out what's going to perform next.
Yeah.
Make sense?
I got it. So the focus should be on value versus growth.
Value over long periods of time has shown to do better than growth. Here's how I think about it. If I did all of my grocery shopping at Walmart versus all of my grocery shopping at Loblaws, which would allow me a cheaper grocery bill or more groceries?
Walmart.
Walmart.
Got it.
Okay. It does better.
And you're saying Walmart
because you're buying things that are cheaper. Walmart in this example is value. I'm just using a comparison. But it's tough to stick to because it's going to go through periods where it doesn't perform. Like small, medium, and large companies. Sometimes large companies are all the rage. And then it shifts almost immediately. Sometimes it's mid-size. Sometimes it's small. So you need a combo of all of it.
Got it.
To capture that free lunch.
I got it.
So let's do a quick summary. What are the 5 main advantages of diversification? Number, it reduces your risk. That's why it's called the free lunch. You get a smoother ride, opportunities for growth. You own a bit of everything. It's a hedge against the unknown. Psychologically, you know you own a bit of everything, so you're not worried that you're missing out on something. Behavioral biases, if you have a smoother ride, you're more likely to stay in your seat. If it's a bumpy ride, sometimes you hit the stop button or you jump out. And finally, currency. You're going to own all the big currencies of the world.
I think that's great to wrap up this episode with the advantage of diversification. And we've talked about a lot of things, but we can sum up this content into 2 main points. So for our listeners, number 1 thing to take away is that you should always diversify your investments.
Absolutely.
Number 2, concentrating on certain investments could make you a lot of money or could wipe you out.
You put all of your money in cryptocurrency or one stock, it could wipe you out. And that's not worth it. You work too hard to save your money. What are we doing next week?
So next week, we are going to be talking about the key rules to live by when investing. So thanks again for joining us today on our episode on diversification, and we look forward to seeing you next week.
Thanks, everyone.